Hello, welcome back to First Chapter Friday from the Alameda Free Library. This week I'm going to be reading the first chapter of The Swag is in the Socks by Kelly J. Baptiste. I'm going to dive right in. It's a long chapter, so let's find out what this book, which is published by Crown Books for Young Readers, New York, is all about. Scepter League Creed. I am a young man of purpose, a descendant of kings. As a member of the illustrious Scepter League, I am disciplined, courageous, and confident. I will carry myself with dignity and honor in all situations. I will respect myself, my family, my school, and my community. I will be academically excellent, physically fit, and socially responsible. I will be a man who lights the way for others. Chapter 1. There's nothing too spectacular about you. Well, jack my phone and call me Jill. That fool done it again. Aunt Cat shuffles into the living room and lowers herself into her special peach-colored easy chair, a piece of paper in her hand and a frown on her face. She tosses the paper onto the coffee table in front of her. Me and my sister Shannon call it the Obama table, since Aunt Cat's got practically every magazine he was ever on the cover of. Shannon's in the kitchen chopping the life out of something, and she calls over, "What's wrong, Aunt Cat?" Aunt Cat shakes her head, the corners of her mouth turned down like she just smelled one of my power farts. "Can't even speak on it, girl," she says at first, which only means she's going to speak on it in 5, 4, 3, 2. But that fool brother of mine done took off again to God knows where. "You think he's okay?" Shannon asks. Aunt Cat makes a loud noise with her lips. Who's gonna know that? For all I know, he's somewhere slumped over a piano having a heart attack while some used-to-be singer tries to hold onto her note and her wig. I burst out laughing before I can stop myself. I shut my mouth real quick and try to go back to being invisible on the couch, praying Aunt Cat doesn't look my way and tell me my 10 minutes on the Nintendo Switch are up. I know, right? Who gives a 10-minute video game limit? Aunt Cat. Luckily, she's too upset about her brother leaving to pay any attention to me. She mutters about how ungrateful he is and who's going to pay his part of the bills here at the house now that he's gone. Not going to lie, Frankie Bell always gets the good groceries when he's home. It really is not a shocker, but Aunt Cat's acting like this has never happened before. To be honest, this happens almost every month. Her brother, my great uncle, Frankie Bell, is a musician, a piano player. And according to him, he's been playing since birth and traveling as much as he can with his group, the Bel Airs. I started off strumming the umbilical cord, Frankie Bell tells everybody who asks. But when I got out that womb prison, it was all about the keys. Frankie Bell's been in bands since he was 15, and he says he'll be in one till they're playing for his funeral. Aunt Cat, who's technically my great aunt, was the oldest of 6 kids, and all that's left is her and Frankie Bell, the youngest. My grandfather, who was next in line after Aunt Cat, died when I was 3. All I remember about him is the smell of Vicks Vapor Rub and cigar smoke. So Frankie Bell, which is what everybody calls him, is the closest thing to a grandfather I got. He's cool, but kind of weird. Aunt Cat says he's 10 steps past crazy, whatever that means. "You watch," Aunt Cat says, pointing at his letter. "Whenever he goes on the road for a long time, he starts sending letters that don't make a lick of sense. He picks some poor soul to torment with his secret instructions and whatnot, like he's the wisest man to draw a breath. Messes with their minds so much they start thinking they the ones losing it." Aunt Cat cusses and Shannon looks up all shocked. "Ooh, Aunt Cat," she says, but I can tell she's trying not to laugh. I am too. I kept it in this time. "I'm sorry, baby, but that's what Frankie Bell is full of." Shannon opens the oven and a whoosh of good smells float out. "How long before we can eat?" Aunt Cat asks, noticing the smell too. "About 15 minutes, Shannon says. She picks up her cell phone and sends a text. I bet anything it's to Julian. She claims Ju's her best friend, but we all know better. Aunt Cat hates him, thinks he's too old for Shannon because he's 18 and she just turned 16. I don't think it's that big of a deal, especially since Ju's one of them dudes who's got everything going for him. Star quarterback, girls are obsessed with him, and he's smart. He says he's going to be an anesthesiologist, but even that doesn't win Kat over. She says he could be the next Black Jesus, but something about him still don't sit right with her. It's probably his teeth, which to me are his only flaw. Two on the bottom are kind of crooked, like they're trying to high five each other. This obviously doesn't bother Shannon, but teeth are definitely a thing for Aunt Kat. Crooked teeth, crooked feet, whatever that means, is what she told me when she forced me to get braces a year ago. The best thing about you is that he's in the Scepter League, which is a huge deal. It's this club that was started at Rosewood Public Schools like 100 years ago. You got to have super swag to get in, and if you do, you become kind of famous around the city. At my school, dudes in the Scepter League are like kings. Once a month, they wear their blazers and ties and get to skip the line at lunch and miss last hour to have important meetings in the library with teachers and the principal. Sometimes they even go over to the high school to link with the leaguers there. They get a section reserved for them in the gym during basketball games, and Rosewood games always be sold out. Once they're old enough to get jobs, Scepter Leaguers work at the rec center or the bank or the stadium downtown, never at some greasy fast food place. And the girls, man, if you're in the Scepter League, it's pretty much a guarantee that they notice you. My number one goal for seventh grade, get in. Xavier, you still on that game machine? Aunt Kat asks, not even looking at me. Dang, I thought she was all into this judge show she just turned on. Guess not. No, I say, turning the switch off. Good, that mess is rotting your brain one cell at a time, she says. Why somebody would willingly buy that, I do not know. She swallowed hard, and I swallow hard and slide the switch into my pocket. I love Aunt Kat and all, but sometimes she goes too far. My dad gave me the switch before he got locked up, and no matter how she feels about it, it's special. I walk to the kitchen to peek at the birthday cake that's chilling on the counter. Double chocolate, just like I asked, with Happy 12th Birthday Xavier written across on top in fancy green cursive. I open the freezer, pistachio ice cream, check. Get out the kitchen, Xavier, it's almost ready, fusses Shannon. She always gets moody when Jude takes too long to respond to her texts. I slide my finger across the cake for a nice taste of the icing. Shannon's too busy staring at her phone to notice. I told her I just wanted pizza, but no, she had to go all fancy, said a birthday dinner can't just be some pizza. It smells so good in here, I almost agree with her. Only problem is it took like all afternoon to make and I'm starving. Pizza's much quicker, I'm just saying. Shannon's been into food since before she was tall enough to see over the stove. I'm the one who has to try all her creations, and she still hogs the TV watching the Food Network. Guess I can't complain too much though, because my birthday dinner is Cajun chicken linguine, and add in some sauteed asparagus with Shannon's signature lemon butter sauce, a salad, and homemade garlic bread, and I got a 5-star meal. Okay, let's just eat. Shannon says a few minutes later. Guess Ju hasn't called or texted because she looks like she wants to smack somebody. About time, Aunt Kat mutters, pulling herself up from her easy chair. Boy, gonna be 13 by the time we sit down. Shannon's got the table set all fancy, no paper plates, and in the middle is a pitcher of my all-time favorite drink, strawberry lemonade mixed up with cherry 7-Up. Yo, I won't say this out loud, but I got a pretty good sis. Aunt Kat, you gonna pray for the food? Shannon asks, which is this joke we have? And get struck down before I can eat? Heck no, Aunt Kat says. Me and Shannon grin, and Shannon blesses the food. She barely says amen when we hear footsteps on the porch and 3 quick knocks. Julian. Yo, sorry I'm late, everybody, he says with a crooked tooth grin. He goes to side hug Aunt Kat, and she has a stank look on her face the whole time. Happy birthday, bro, Jude tells me, giving me dap and dropping a $10 Taco Bell gift card on the table by my plate. Thanks, I say, kind of shocked that he actually got me something. Jude takes off his green and gold Scepter League jacket, which he wears even more than his football letter jacket. He sits across from me and piles his plate high with linguine while my eyes lock onto that jacket like a magnet, imagining my name in bold lettering on the front of one soon. This smells so good, Shan, he says, shoveling a huge bite into his mouth. Shannon's attitude is gone now that Jew is here, and she actually grins and sighs like everything is all good now. Ridiculous, right? So how feel to be 12? Asked Jew, crunching on the garlic bread. Exact same as 11, right? I nod. He's pretty much got it. No magic feeling when I woke up today. I hope you like the food, Dave, Shannon says, because that's the only present you're going to get from me. I shake my head and take a giant bite of the linguine. You gonna do this for my birthday? Jew asks, reaching for another piece of garlic bread. Aunt Cat opens her mouth to say something else, probably something about Jew being too old for Shannon anyway, but then we hear more footsteps on the porch, followed by the half-working doorbell. Now, who in creation is that? Aunt Cat asks with a frown. You expecting somebody else, Shannon? No, Shannon says, a confused frown on her face. You got your hooligan friends coming to my house? Aunt Cat narrows her eyes and points her fork at Jew. No, ma'am, Jew says quickly. I'll go see who, Shannon starts to say, but then Aunt Cat holds her hand up and cuts her off. Ah, Lord, she mutters. I already know who that is. It takes the rest of us a few seconds of listening before we know too. Shannon goes to the door, and before any of us are ready, my mother's sisters crash my dinner. Aunt Nadine's the oldest, super bossy and loud. Surprised she drove all the way from Chesterfield, a suburb that's over an hour away. Aunt Crystal is next. She's a tad nicer than Aunt Nadine, but just as loud. Happy birthday, baby, Aunt Nadine shouts the second she sees me. She waltzes by Aunt Cat to hug me and give me an oversized kiss on the cheek. Look at you, big 12 and all. Twins, say happy birthday to your cousin. Great. I didn't notice Stephen and Stacy slink in behind the aunts. They're 10, but already too much like their mom, which means they act like they're better than everybody else. Happy birthday, they say at the same time, like they're bored out of their minds. Stacy literally yawns as she looks around the dining room, probably critiquing how poor we are compared to them. Can't believe you're 12, Aunt Chris says, hugging and kissing me next. She ties a bunch of balloons around my chair like I'm 4 or something. There's an awkward silence until Shannon asks if they want to make plates. Yeah, she's only 16, but she's pretty motherly, always making sure people are comfortable. Oh, no, sweetie, says Aunt Nadine. We're gluten-free, you know. Sense-free too, Aunt Cat mutters. I always thought it was scary how Aunt Nadine can have a smile on her face while looking at something or someone like it's the most disgusting thing in the world. That's how she's looking at Shannon's food, and it's making me mad. I'll take a plate, Aunt Chris says, trying to be the peacemaker, I guess. She fixes a tiny bit of everything and sits next to me. You guys remember Jew, right? Shannon says, because clearly there ain't much else to say. Yes, how are you, Jew? Aunt Crystal says. Pretty good, thanks, Jew tells her. What is that short for again? Justice? Javante? Aunt Nadine asks, wrinkling her nose. Aunt Cat snorts. Now you know darn well. It's actually Julian, Jew says. Aunt Nadine's words hang in the air like rotten skunk spray. And you guys go to the same school? Aunt Chris says. Yeah, Shannon says. She side-eyes Aunt Cat, who would usually throw in some kind of snarky comment about their grade difference, but I think Aunt Cat can't stand Nadine and Chris. Jew's off the hook this time. That's nice, Aunt Chris says, fake smiling. She takes a few more bites of linguine. This is really good, Shannon. Thanks, Shannon says. You ready for cake, Zab? Zave, I nod. My plate is clean and I was thinking about seconds, but I can always do that later. Jew helps Shannon clear the table and then they return with my cake, all lit up with candles. Can't help but smile while they sing happy birthday, especially since they sound horrible. I get all the candles out in one try, and when Shannon hands me the knife, I make sure everybody gets huge hunks. Everybody who wants a piece, that is. Stephen and Stacy stand by the wall the whole time, but I swear I can see drool coming out of their mouths as me, Shannon, Jew, and Aunt Cat attack our pieces. Ready for school to start, Xavier? Aunt Nadine asks, continuing without giving me a chance to answer. The twins are beyond excited. It'll be such a busy year for them. Aunt Nadine rambles on and on about their violin lessons and tennis and how lucky they might be picked for a modeling campaign. I tune her out and think about what my year is going to be like. Most people think 7th grade ain't all that important. It's not like sixth grade when you're just starting middle school or eighth grade with all the class trips and the moving on ceremony. But at Rosewood, seventh grade means I'm eligible for the Scepter League. Finally. I look over at Steven. Poor dude. I bet Aunt Nadine would never let him go out for the league. The twins are like her little puppets. I feel sorry for them, having to listen to her go on and on all the time. All of a sudden, Aunt Nadine stops talking and looks dead at me like she just read my thoughts. I almost choke on a glob of chocolate icing. Have you heard from your mother today, Xavier? The room goes casket quiet, except for the sound of Shannon's fork dropping onto her empty plate and Aunt Chris hissing, Nadine, a few seconds later. My mother, our mother, is Shay Elise Bell, their little sister. And Aunt Nadine asking if I've heard from her makes me so mad I forget to stay quiet. The minute I open my mouth, though, I regret it. Not yet, but I will. Aunt Nadine wrinkles her face. Oh, poor baby, she says, puckering her lips and turning to Aunt Cat. He still does that? Guess that's public school education for you. Get the heck out of my house, Aunt Cat growls. Standing so fast, the twins jump and inch their way toward the door. Aunt Cat, calm down, Shannon says, getting in between Aunt Cat and Aunt Nadine. We should go, Aunt Chris says. Duh, she gives me a sad smile and whispers, Happy birthday, baby. What? Aunt Nadine looks truly confused. That is a reasonable question, is that not? I'm about to show you reasonable, Aunt Cat says. Jew jumps up too, but he knows better than to grab Aunt Cat's arm the way Shannon does. Nadine, let's go. Aunt Chris tugs her sister's other arm. Why, Crystal? Aunt Nadine's voice is definitely more hood now, like she's just remembered she went to the same public school I go to. Why can't we ask about our sister? Heck, I was even going to ask about her no good man, too. Aunt Chris literally yanks Aunt Nadine toward the door, and it is a good thing because Aunt Cat starts swinging and cussing. I stand up, but I have no idea what to do or say. My mouth opens, and I want to scream that my dad was here, that he woke me up early and took me out to breakfast at the yard where the pancakes are the size of the plate and the hot chocolate has 2 inches of whipped cream on top of it. But that was 4 birthdays ago. This morning, all I got from him was a 2-minute phone call. Shannon yells for me to stay where I am, and both she and Jew struggle to hold Aunt Cat back. Get her out, Shannon yells at Aunt Chris. The twins are squealing. Aunt Cat's cussing up a storm, and I can't get a single word out. I leave it all, my half-eaten hunk of chocolate cake, seconds on linguine, and my gift card from Jew, and head up the creaky stairs to my room without saying a word. I flop on my bed and turn my switch on, volume way up. Still doesn't drown out Aunt Cat yelling things you don't expect an old lady to say. I hear doors slam, a car start, and the sound of the car screeching down the street. Then it's quiet. Shannon's probably trying to calm Aunt Cat so she don't have a heart attack the way that my grandfather did. Rumor is he was pissed at my mom about something she'd done and was yelling his head off when all of a sudden he just fell over. Died on the way to the hospital. My mom tried to be tough, but she blamed herself for what happened to him, even though the doctor said his heart had been bad for years. Maybe the bad things she did after that was because of guilt. Nobody talks about it much, and I don't know all the details, but 3 months ago, my mom and dad did something that got them both locked up. Since my dad was really into cars, I always imagined it was some Fast and Furious type stuff. What they did really doesn't matter to me. What matters is that they ain't here. Shannon was almost 14 then, but she figured me and her could just go on like normal since she was already used to being my number 2 mom. She didn't understand why we had to leave our house and move in with Aunt Cat and sometimes there Frankie Bell. Far as she was concerned, me and her could have just stayed in our house on our own. I love Aunt Cat and all, but I can't wait for things to go back to normal when my parents are out. Zave? Shannon knocks on my door and peeks her head in at the same time. What? I say. Cool thing about Shannon is that she'll know I'm not mad at her, just everything else. Shannon sighs and comes all the way in, closing the door behind her. You okay? She asks. They a hot mess. You know none of us invited them. I just nod. Aunt Cat got you stuff, Shannon says with a sigh. You want to come down and open your gifts or just chill up here? Chill, I tell her. I don't stutter as much around Shannon, but she's about the only one. When I'm around people, I mostly keep my mouth closed or give super short answers. All right, Shannon says. She pauses a sec, then says, I'll bring you the phone when she calls, okay? I nod. When Shannon leaves, I put my game down and stare at the ceiling. There's a bunch of spots up there that look like random things: a smiley face, a coffee mug, and a sock. When it's hard to go to sleep, I make myself find each thing, lose it by looking somewhere else on the ceiling, and then find it again. It's different, I know, but it always knocks me out. Tonight, I stare at nothing. I keep waiting for the phone to ring, and when it finally does, I don't have to guess the words that are flashing across Aunt Kat's old school caller ID: Malcolm County Women's Correctional Facility. Wish it just said Shea Bell. Better yet, wish my parents didn't have to call to say happy birthday again. That's the first chapter. I know you are hanging on the edge and can't wait to find out what happens next. Check out The Swag is in the Socks from the Alameda Free Library, and see you next time on